Okay, so I may be a little bit late to the party with this video, given that every man and his dog has expressed their opinion about this stupid subject, and it may be like I'm jumping on the bandwagon and flogging a dead horse, or putting the boot in on some drunken bum who's already down and on the ground. But I feel I got an angle on this shit that I ain't heard no one else spouting off, and not only do I think it's 100% true and factual, but it really pisses me off. So, here we go. Now, before we begin, as this video is talking about woke politics, which basically refers to a very specific set of liberal values, let me start by stating unequivocally and without question that I, along with the vast majority of the people living in Western 21st century societies, support the concept of equal and human rights for all human beings. In fact, really, that is kind of very much the fucking problem here. And it's pretty much my launch pad for what is my major problem with modern day woke Hollywood movies. And that is that the political messaging that they are expressing in modern day movies and TV shows are already widely supported by the vast majority of the public. In fact, so widely supported by the public that all of these values were written into law decades and decades ago. And why? Because it was the public who marched to demand them. And for me, that really is the fucking point. Not only do I not mind the message of equal rights that has been pushed into every movie written in the past 10 fucking years, but I actively support those messages and have supported them for a long, long time. All my life, in fact, you could say. And despite the fact that I'm about as old as the fucking hills, those ideas of equal rights have been around all my fucking life. Since before I was born. At least in the most part. And those laws that were needed and hadn't quite been written yet certainly weren't written at the behest of Hollywood and the fucking studio systems. I mean, fuck me. Who's kidding who here? Because it sure as shit wasn't Hollywood that has stood for massive social change through the last 1.5 fucking centuries now, is it? But now, every time we go to the cinema or sit down to enjoy some escapism through a good old fashioned movie, well, now we get 2.5 fucking hours of having our ears beaten off and getting berated by the most immoral bunch of bigots on the face of the planet. And I, along with everyone else on the fucking planet, is getting a little bit sick and tired of being lectured to by the assholes who've been perpetuating these problems for decades. I mean, excuse me, but wasn't it fucking Hollywood who refused to cast black actors because they claim they didn't sell tickets for like 40 years past the civil rights movement? Wasn't it fucking Hollywood who constantly cast female characters in demeaning fucking roles like 100 years after the suffragette movement began? In fact, while we're on about it, wasn't it fucking Hollywood who had to clear shop like a couple of years back with the Me Too movement because they were all still up to the old same sexist shit? Wasn't it Hollywood who continually presented gay characters in their fucking films as subjects of scorn and derision? Because it wasn't fucking us making those movies, was it? It was Hollywood. It was Hollywood themselves who have willfully and gladfully perpetuated harmful stereotypes about different social groups, literally decades after those views had been abandoned by the general public. And now, nearly a quarter of a fucking century into the new millennium, now, Hollywood finally catches up with the values held by the rest of society. But what do? Does Hollywood admit that they are finally the last fucking people to show up at the Equal Rights Party? Oh, do they fuck? Do they fuck? They start banging on about gay rights, racial rights, gender rights, and all of the values that have been commonplace in our society for absolute decades. They start banging on about it like they are the ones who have just noticed the need for social justice. decades after the major battles have been fought and won. It's like, yeah, thanks Hollywood. We could have really done with your help in the 1960s during the civil rights movement, or the 70s and the 80s supporting women in the gay community. But, oh no, back then, when it was actually needed, when it would have actually been the right and morally correct thing to do to stand up for the right of disadvantaged people, what did Hollywood go and do? That's right, they made blaxploitation movies and titty films. Well fucking done, guys. And now there is no possible way they can sell those ideas anymore. Now Hollywood finally comes round to sharing the values that the rest of society has shared for the last half a century. But instead of coming humbly with their hat in their hands, apologising for being so fucking reprehensible for so fucking long, instead of doing that, they act like a bunch of self-righteous pricks. And even worse than that, and this is my major fucking problem with woke Hollywood, they started doing it like they were preaching to us. Like it was us, the audience, who needed a strong lesson in morality, instead of all the sex pest producers in Hollywood. I mean, the sheer fucking hypocrisy of it all is fucking staggering. I mean, fuck me. It's like a serial killer telling you you've got a bad attitude or something. Like a sex offender calling you a pervert. Or like Adolf Hitler accusing you of not being inclusive enough. I mean, it's just a lot to take off a fucking industry that a couple of years ago had to lock up half of its staff because they were all accused of attacking women and shit. I mean, what the fuck? So, this is my problem. I got no problem with Hollywood putting black, female and gay characters in any fucking movie they want to. The more the better in my opinion. But when you do it, Hollywood, do yourselves a favour and try not to alienate your entire fucking audience by accusing them of the evil-minded shit that you people in Hollywood are still obviously fucking up to. Get down off your high horse and eat some humble fucking pie for fuck's sake. You bunch of overprivileged, overpaid, oversexed, drug-addicted, narcissistic maniacs. And just so we're absolutely clear, despite Hollywood's claims that it's seeking to progress social values, Hollywood did nothing at all to help progress the civil rights movement when it was actually needed. So, as far as I'm concerned, Hollywood can keep its fucking face shut from now on and stop trying to act like, despite the fact that they held back the tide of progress for generations, that somehow it is now supposed to be Hollywood that are the visionary prophets championing the exact same set of moral values that all decent people share in the modern day world. Go fuck yourself, Hollywood, you bunch of self-righteous egomaniacal hypocrites, and get back to making more of your stupid fucking movies.